There's new iMacs.
What the just happened?
Woo! All right, we waited 2 years for this moment, and finally, we have new iMacs. Now, I'm not actually as excited as I thought I'd be because I was hearing all these rumors about ultra-wide screens, new designs, all this kind of stuff. Whatever is done is done. I'm here to let you know the best iMacs you can get now. What has happened is they've now put the best processors in the regular iMac, and of course you got the best graphics cards in the iMac Pro. So on the iMac Pro now, you got something called the Vega 64X, and it looks like it's the Radeon 7, except it's got 64 compute units instead of the 60 in the Radeon 7. All right, let's check it out here. So the new Vega 64X, it has 12 teraflops, which is one more teraflop than the Vega 64. Now looking at the Vega 64, here it comes with 12,000 gigaflops, and we got this guy, it's the Radeon 7. This guy comes out at 13,000 gigaflops, so we're adding 1,000 gigaflops. So the correlation is very similar to the One Plus that you're getting. Of course, the full-size GPUs are a lot more beefier than the ones you get inside the iMacs, but you can see that there's a correlation of +1. Now, also, there was a Vega 64X leaked last year, and it was built on the same process size as the Radeon 7. Radeon 7 over here, 7 nanometer, 64X. I don't know for certain if the 64X is a 7 nanometer, but according to this leak, it looks like it could be. So it looks like it could just be a Radeon 7 without the improved memory, but instead of 60 compute units, it has 64 compute units like the normal Vega 64s do. So that's what the Vega 64X is looking to me like. It looks like a Radeon 7 with half the memory bandwidth, but 64 compute units. And of course, lower power consumption. So it's a Radeon 7 faster for the iMac Pro. And that's an option, it's an expensive option, and that's what you get on an iMac Pro. And you can also now upgrade it to 256 gigabytes of RAM. The processor stayed the same, unfortunately. Unfortunately, yeah, because it's now a 2-year-old chip. And on the regular iMac, you now get up to 8 cores Intel 9th generation CPU. All right, so you go on the left here is the i9, and on the right is the Xeon inside the iMac. And this is the fastest Xeon you can get because the 8-core one can go at the fastest speed. The more cores you get, the slower the Xeon is. Of course, it depends on the application you use, but for most applications, they're not multi-threaded. So let's go into this. You can see that this one was released in 2018, October. This one was released a year before. Okay, first thing, so it's a year older. Now, looking at the L2 cache, we're getting less on the i9 and you're getting a lot more on the Xeon. So that's really good. However, L3 cache, you're getting a lot more on the i9 than you get on the Xeon. Maximum temperature, okay, you can go slightly more. Doesn't matter about that. More TDP, okay, that's a lot more, but they clock them down for the iMac Pros, so that means you're going to be getting a slower clock speed. So this is going to run a lot slower because it's not going to reach that TDP. Next up, let's see the most important thing, and it is the turbo boost. Now these guys can go 5,000 megahertz. These guys go up to 4,500, but of course Apple don't allow that. They make it go slower. So overall, you are getting a faster clocked chip, the i9, 8 cores, all that kind of stuff. However, this i9, you also get UHD graphics, which applications like Final Cut Pro do utilize. And it supports hevc encoding and decoding, which will help out a lot of video editors out there and just generally browsing YouTube. And of course, something more importantly about this 9th generation chip, which the Xeon wouldn't have, is that it has fixes for all those Intel bugs, those hacks, meltdown, all that stuff, which will slow down normal CPUs. Of course, you know, there's another one. Spoiler, thank you Intel. Make some proper CPUs like AMD. Actually, Apple, put some AMD chips in there. So you got the super fast 9th generation Intel CPU on the iMac, and the Xeon class slower CPUs on the iMac Pro. Of course, it depends on the applications you use. All the applications I use are better suited for the consumer grade Intel CPUs because they perform better. They have all these different integrations which are faster than the server side one. But, you know, let's just go through the options together and I'm gonna tell you some stuff. So right before you had the Mac Mini, except the problem with the Mac Mini is it comes with a T2 processor, which means you can't upgrade the SSD inside, and it has no GPU. Now, you got the MacBook Pro over here. Problem is, of course, you can't upgrade it, and it has that horrendous T2 processor. So let's go for the options. So, as usual, you get 21 inches and 27 inches. However, now it depends on what kind of iMac you're looking for. If you're just purely for the aesthetics, the looks of it, then you can just get the basic models. You don't really care about the performance. I personally, I'd go with a 27-inch because it's nice and big and the base options are a lot nicer than a 21-inch. However, if you are looking at a 21-inch and you're looking to actually use it for performance, be careful about the options because the base option over here by default comes with a slow spinning hard drive which goes at 5,400 revs per minute, and that is very slow in today's standard. Personally, since 2015, you need to be going SSD because it really helps with performance. You can still use a Fusion drive, but I'm not even going to justify it today. You really need to be getting an SSD for performance. The amount of caching and all that stuff is SSDs make things fly. People still use a Fusion, but you're going to be lagging behind. And if you want to future-proof your system for the next few years, you can't be getting Fusion anymore. You can upgrade the RAM yourself if you're technically inclined, or you can pay $1,000 for it. You get either a quad-core i3 or a 6-core 8th generation i7. That's a sexy base unit. The GPU you get inside is 555X, but the 555X only has 2 GB RAM. So in the MacBook Pro I've got here, it's a 555X, but it has 4 GB RAM. Now, I guess you don't really care about graphics, but the 555X will get you something on the screen. It's going to be better than the Mac Mini. Yeah, it's going to be about double the performance still of the Mac Mini, the GPU in there. So it's not as bad as it seems, and you've got a nice capable system. So the price of the iMac there, the base one with just the SSD storage, is going to be $3,000. But I got some good news. It's been confirmed to me that the iMacs, these guys, they don't have the 2.2 chips. So if you want to save even more money, you can start off with the really slow hard drive. Now it comes down to 2,500 and you can upgrade to an SSD yourself. I personally would just get Apple to do it because I like a warranty and all that kind of stuff. But if you want to save money and you know how to do some technical installations, ripping over that monitor, you can do all that stuff still because it doesn't have a T2 chip. So overall, with the 21-inch iMac, it ranges from the old one still, dual core, 1,600. Not really worth it anymore. You got the 2 new ones. You got the i3 and you got the i5, the 6 cores. The price difference is very small. Personally, I just go for the upgraded one because you get 1 terabyte of a Fusion drive. You don't get that slow hard drive. And you also get the 6-core 8th generation i5, and that's a really nice CPU. I use that CPU in the Mac Mini, and it was very cool. The fans hardly ever kicked up. Next up, I want to show you the 27 inches, and you get a couple of options. You get the 8th generation, the CPU I was talking about, the i5. Whew, it's a good one. It's going to be nice, cool, and quiet. However, you can now boost it all the way to 8 cores, 9th generation i9. I don't know if you're a kind of like a rap superstar, but you're going to get some fans with that one, if you know what I mean. But the performance should be delightful. 8 cores, damn, that's going to be a really powerful CPU, so juicy. And you can even now upgrade the graphics to a Vega 48. Now, I don't know what a Vega 48 is. It could either be a bad Vega 56 with some of the compute units turned off, or it could be built on the new Vega 20 architecture, in which case it will be slightly more performant than the Vega 56, except less compute units. So we don't know exactly what's going on, but for maximum benefit, you really want to be getting the iMac Pro. And if you're going to be paying for the 8-core 9th generation i9, it's going to be coming at iMac Pro levels pricing, especially with the upgrade, because that upgrade is going to get you, it's going to cost $720 for it. So I'm confused, actually. I'm thinking about it. I don't really know what the situation is. The best CPU is inside the iMac standard, and the best GPU is inside the iMac Pro. Probably iMac Pro is the better deal because you get glorious extras. For example, 10 gigabit Ethernet and more Thunderbolt ports. So I'm not too sure what to make of it. I'm a bit confused. And both these units still have, the old bezel design. They still only have AC Wi-Fi. Got AX Wi-Fi coming out, and that's a lot faster. I've heard it goes up to 4 times faster than the current AC Wi-Fi. So if you want to future-proof yourself, you're probably better off just waiting until the AX comes out. I don't know. What do you think? Do you want to get an iMac? I think it's a lot better that they upgraded it now, because the iMacs that they were selling a while back were kind of like a con, right? Because they were 2 years old. But so now you got some nice refreshed options. Whether or not you'd upgrade to the maximum specs, that's you and your budget. Anyway, what do you guys think? I think it's good news, you know. Apple have released a brand new Mac which doesn't have T2. Can you believe that? I don't believe that. I think it's a good thing. Fingers crossed, the Mac Pro comes out in a couple of months and he doesn't have T2, and the new MacBook Pros comes out and he doesn't have T2. Woo!